friends. It's good to see you back this Sunday. I missed being here last Sunday. I know Mr. Travis was here. No, you weren't here. I meant Mr. Kyle. I said Mr. Travis. I know I'm getting my names mixed up. Mr. Kyle was here. And then Travis, you were gone too. You went on a camping trip. He did. He went on a camping trip with your family. Did you have a good time? That's fun to go and spend some family time. Is really, really fun. So I know Mr. Kyle talked about how Moses was raised in the temple. You watched it. Ooh, how cool. And talked about how he was a prince in the temple. And today, friends, we're going to go forward into the life of Moses, and he, at this point in his life, is not in the temple any longer. He is a shepherd. It was a long story how he got there. He had a tough time in the temple. He saw some people being mean to other people, and he didn't like it. And he had some problems in the temple, and then ended up out shepherding sheep. That is a far cry to go from living in a temple to living outside being a shepherd. Yeah, that's what happened. He was trying to do the right thing, but he didn't quite take some time to find out, like, God, what is it that you want me to do? How do you want me to do the right thing? What is the best way I can help you? And so now he's out, and he's got lots and lots of time, and he's praying, and he's thinking about that. And that's where our story picks up. It's a really cool story about how God spoke to him and said, hey, here's how I want you to be my helper. Let's read. You guys ready? Can you see this? I'm going to move it a little bit forward so you can see. It's only one page, but it kind of explains what happened. One day, as Moses was watching his sheep, he saw a strange sight. Bright flames of fire burned from a nearby bush, but the bush didn't burn up. So he was looking, and there was a bush on fire, but it wasn't burning up like a fire you would see outside. The bush was staying and living just fine. It was just flames. That's very strange. When Moses took a closer look, he heard the voice of God. God wanted Moses to go to Egypt and tell King Pharaoh to let God's people go. Pharaoh was a mean king. He made God's people work as slaves. God promised to help Moses, so Moses set off to see Pharaoh. So you guys see that? That is very interesting. It took a burning bush to kind of get Moses' attention. It was something, something bright, something different, and that's when he said, gosh, maybe I need to listen and see what God is saying to do. And sometimes we're just like that. Yeah, we are. Sometimes we have to stop and listen, and God says, hey, I'm talking to you, and to find out what is it that God's asking us to do. What is his commandment? How can we help and be his helper? And our memory verse is in the Bible. It's in Psalms. I have my Bible right here, and it says, I obey your commandments with all my heart. Psalms 119:69. Can you guys say that with me? Say, I obey your commandments with all my heart. Not just a little, not just when I feel like it, but with all my heart. That's what that means. It means not just when I feel like it, or when it's convenient, or when I understand, but whenever it is, you tell me, I'm going to obey your commandments. Commandments is rules, or his things that he's asking us to do, and to obey them with all our heart, not just a little, but our whole heart. Oh, you have something in your heart? Oh, okay. Well, Travis has something in his heart that he would like to share that is going to help us. with our... Oh, okay, because you're right. The question is, what do you think you could do to be God's helper? That is a good question. That's one we should ask God. What is it that you want me to do? And that's what Travis has in his heart. It helps him remember something. Let's find out what is in his heart. Ooh, it's kind of... Did you hear that? It's jingly. What could be jingly in there? Oh! Travis has, you see that, an old set of keys. Those are some really old keys. Where did you find them? Oh, in an old key box. That makes sense. So why do you have old keys? What does it remind you of, Travis? Oh, I see. I get it. So Travis says that the keys remind him that Jesus actually gave us the keys to what we're supposed to do to be God's helper. And he says they're old because the key that God gave us is old. It's the key, and sometimes we say, I have the key, I have the plan, I know how it works, and it's in the Bible. The Bible is God's written word to us. It kind of unlocks the doors sometimes and tells us how we're supposed to live our lives, because this is like, so sometimes people say it's the key. It's the key to how we're supposed to live. And yes, it was written a long time ago, so I get the old keys because that is an old, this Bible isn't really old, but the words are really old that God spoke a long time ago, but they are very true. And you know, it's one of the keys, the big key, is in Matthew, way back when Jesus actually walked on the earth and he was in human form. His disciples, his followers asked him, said, Jesus, what is it? What is the greatest commandment? What is the key to life? What? Whoop, the keys are jingling and falling. And Jesus actually answered them in Matthew, and he said, well, I'll just read it out of the Bible right here. It said, this is the first and greatest commandment. It's the first one is that you love the Lord your God with all your heart. We just talked about that. All your heart, all your soul, all your mind, every part of you. That's number one. And number two, he says, just like that, you love your neighbor as yourself. So those are the two keys to life. He said everything else hangs on this. Everything else in Scripture is all wrapped around this one thing. If you can get these things, that's the first thing, the most important thing. Remember them? Say them with me. Number one, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And then love your neighbor as yourself. Those are the two most important things. And then our memory verse once again, let's see if we can say it together. I obey your commandments with all my heart. And that's in Psalms 119. So that is part of our lesson today. And friends, you can work, sorry, my words got all jumbled there. That happens. But we're going to learn more about Moses next week because he did. He went back to King Pharaoh and he told them what God said, even though he was scared and he wasn't sure what was going to happen. He obeyed God's commandments and he did what God asked him to do to be God's helper, because he wanted to know, how can I help God? And God said, this is how I need you to help. And he went back and he told them, let my people go. And so we're going to learn, it's a really cool story about how God met him when he obeyed and did what he was asked to do to be God's helper. So friends, I hope you have an amazing week. I love you guys, and we will see you next week. And let's see, maybe, are you going camping? No, he's not going camping again. So he'll be here, you'll be here, yes. We'll both be here together. Love you guys. Bye.